Recorded Books is pleased to present the Modern Scholar series where great professors teach you. My name is Brian Keeler, and I'll be your host. Today we begin a course entitled One, Holy, Catholic, and Apostolic, a History of the Medieval Church. Your professor is Thomas F. Madden, Professor of Medieval History and Chair of the Department of History at St. Louis University. A recognized expert on the Crusades, he has appeared in forums such as National Public Radio and the New York Times. Professor Madden is the author of The New Concise History of the Crusades. He is the editor of Crusades, the Illustrated History, and The Crusades, Essential Readings. During the conflict and state building of the Middle Ages, the Catholic Church remained one of the most powerful forces of stability and tradition in a world plagued by disease, war, and religious heresy. From the central power of the papacy to the vast spread of local churches, the institution of the Church held sway over a world that was painfully making its way towards the form that we're familiar with in the modern era. The epic history of the Church tells us the story of not just one institution, but the story of the development of an entire culture and way of life that has made us who we are today. For more information on this course, please visit its website at www.modernscholar.com, where you'll have access to links to related sites, a seminar room to share your thoughts with other students, and yes, of course, a final exam. And now we begin One, Holy, Catholic, and Apostolic, a History of the Medieval Church. Lecture 1, Birth of the Medieval Church, and now Professor Madden.
In this course, we will be looking at the history of the medieval church. We will begin with the church in the period of roughly the 7th century. It's hard to know when a medieval church begins, but that's a good place to start our tracing of this history. And we will then view in each successive lecture the ways in which the church both changed and responded to Western events and Western culture throughout the next roughly 1,000 years. We are going to see the line of doctrine and the line of faith that can be traced all the way through this 1,000 years, but the history of a human institution which will be battered and then elevated by the events which occur around it. At the end of our travels with the church, when we come to our final lecture, we will have followed the church all the way through to the very eve of the Protestant Reformation, so roughly to about the end of the 15th century. We will also take some time in this course to look at the faith of medieval Christians, both in the practice of their faith and in the ways in which they interacted with the church, both in monasteries and in cathedrals and in universities. In this first lecture, we want to look at the birth of the medieval church. And before we launch in, since we're actually entering a story when it's already begun, the church is already about 7 centuries old at this point, we want to look at very briefly an overview of the ecclesiology of the church by 600 AD. And by that I mean, how was the church understood in 600? This was an organic understanding. This was something that had grown before. But by 600, it was viewed that the church, the head of the church, was, of course, Christ. And Christ instituted his church with the apostles, which became the Apostolic.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.